Good evening. It's good to see everybody. I'm glad that we're all surviving. It's been hot. It's been hot. You didn't notice? You've been sitting in your air-conditioned office. Your home office. Yeah. No, it's good to see everybody. Be praying for Pastor Mark as he's traveling. He's going to go meet up with our location pastors throughout Awaken. They do this every so often. I got to join them last time, but I decided to stay back this time. And it's really great what they do. They get together every year to talk about the future of Awaken Church. Not locations, but the church itself, where it's going to go, what directions it's going to take. And I've already heard some of the ideas that they've had, so be ready for it. There's lots of ideas that are coming, lots of interesting things that we'll get to see throughout all of our locations all across the states. And he should be back soon. I think he's coming back Saturday or Sunday. I can't remember. He's already got me doing all of his chores. No cows got out. We took care of him. No, I found out at 11 o'clock yesterday that he needed a ride to the airport. It's 11 o'clock p.m. So I got about 4 hours of sleep before I had to drive him up to Will Rogers. And then on the way there, he tells me that he's out of cattle cubes. So now I got to go out and get cattle cubes, which I already got them. Which means I also got to feed them and probably collect some eggs. And if I don't, he's just going to make fun of me when he gets back, saying I missed it. So be praying for me. But it's been good. And lately I've had this thought in my mind because I was trying to think of what I was going to do tonight. And just nothing came up. But I've had this consistent thought on my mind. And it's this drought that we're in. And it's not the first drought we've been in. I don't know if it's the worst one. It feels like the worst one because it's the one I can feel right now. But it's the only thing I can think of right now. Been in a drought for what feels like months. It might have been months. And on top of it, we're sitting in triple-digit temperatures where I don't even want to set foot outside. I don't even want to open a window or even open the door. It's so stinking hot. And on top of that, we're getting almost no rain. Not a single drop of rain. Maybe a little bit. But it almost seems like we didn't get any, because I don't know if you know this or not, Oklahoma is covered in red clay. And what happens when you put clay in a kiln is that it dries up really quick and just becomes a rock. So it's almost like we've gotten no rain at all, and there's no signs of floods that I can tell. And I've gotten so annoyed with News 9, I'm fixing to send them a message and tell them to quit telling me there's a heat advisory. I want them to let me know when it's done. It's every day. But it wasn't the physical drought that caught my mind. It's another kind of drought that we're in. And if you look over the last few decades, I think we've gone through a few different droughts. I would say the first one we went through was a mental drought. Let me show you what I mean. There was a time when if you didn't know something, you figured it out. You either went through a bunch of books or you asked somebody. And then a few years later, we went from finding the answer to Googling the answer. Now we're from Googling the answer to asking ChatGPT. And the only thing that's come of that is we don't know anything. we can blame it on schools, or we can blame it on what's being taught at home. But really what it is, it's a mental drought. Gage, do you know how to change a tire? You do? I was kind of hoping he didn't. But most people in today's world, did you know that when you get a new car today, they don't give you a spare tire? It's the dumbest thing I ever heard. They give you a can of Fix-A-Flat and an air pump. And then when you go to get the tire fixed, mechanics get mad at you because they don't know how to fix a tire that's got Fix-A-Flat in it. Unless you got enough money, I guess. I don't know. Every time I've been to a mechanic after putting Fix-A-Flat in a tire, they just get mad at me. But in today's world, no one knows how to change a tire. Or no one knows how to budget. I'd say that's been affecting us a while. It's gotten to the point, and there's this guy on Facebook who bugs me so much because he says there's 40% of Americans who cannot cover a $200 emergency. And there's a lot of reasons for that. There's a lot of jobs that aren't treating people right, or there's a lot of bills that are coming up, or I bet just about all of us are paying for the power that we didn't have yesterday or today. But this guy is saying 40% of people can't cover a $200 emergency fund, and then gets mad at another financial advisor that says, hey, everyone, just have $1,000 saved up. And he tells them, well, that's a dumb idea because inflation. And the only thing I can think of is, man, for all those people that need to pay $200 in an emergency, I wonder if they could save up $1,000 to cover it. There's this mental drought that we're going through. And I can go through endless things that we don't know anymore. I can go through them. I really could. We just be here for 2 weeks, maybe even longer. It's everything that has been known is rather just known of or completely forgotten about. And most of it is in the name of progress. And I will say, I'm not completely against progress. There is some progress that needed to happen. Central heat and air. It's probably the best progress that we've ever had. I bet y'all didn't know that the Wild West was not won in gunfights. The Wild West was tamed because of air conditioning. Hollywood missed it. It wasn't wide earth. It was air conditioning. They put it in theaters, and then theaters became popular. There's a bunch of other stuff that we've completely missed because of progress. It's gone through a mental drought. And today, I think we're going through a whole nother drought. I think we're going through a spiritual drought. And I'll tell you why. In this town alone, in the past 3 days, I have seen every member of the, what do they call it? Who are the people that are in charge of the city? Is it the chair members? The city councils. I've seen every city council member arguing with the citizens of Blanchard. I've seen the mayor argue with everyone on the citizens of Blanchard. I walked into the living room today and I said, Mom, I think I figured out what's wrong with Blanchard. Said what? And I said, the mayor and the city council members forgot that they're politicians. They should know by now that nobody cares what they post on Facebook. Yeah. And I hope Mayor Scalf is watching this. Get off of Facebook. No one cares that you're putting in another water line. They're going to be saying the exact same thing once you get it in. We don't have enough water. There's no water pressure. Even when you get it in, that's exactly what everyone's going to be saying. Just go ahead, try to fix it, and then hope that some people are happy enough to keep you in office. If they're not happy with you, we'll find somebody else. But what I'm trying to get, I'm sorry, I got sidetracked. What I'm trying to get at is this spiritual drought that we're going through is doing nothing but tearing people apart. We're at this point in our society, even in our cities, our towns, everywhere, where stupid little things just tear us apart. And it doesn't even just stop at social media. It's in our very homes. I know I was talking with somebody, and they were telling me about some family members that they have where they don't even want to talk to them anymore because of politics at home. They can't even sit across the table from each other anymore. And then you see it with your friends. You can't even be friends with them anymore because they won't stop with their politics, or they won't be friends with you because you don't agree with their politics. And when I say politics, I don't mean just the government. Everything is political now. You wouldn't believe how political the church is today. Everything's political. It's back and forth. It's arguing. It's bickering. It's just endless nonsense that's tearing people apart. Spiritual drought. And I would say that it's a long time coming. And I'm not sitting here saying that this is just another sign of the end of the world. I'll let somebody else preach that. But what I am saying, that this is something that we need to look at. If we look at the prophets, they say this, that God brings the rain to remake the earth and holds back the water to cause drought. And a lot of us stop right there. And one moment in particular that really caught my eye was in Haggai chapter 1. And if you don't remember it, that's fine. If you do remember it, that's good. If you remember it, what's happening here is everyone around is making sure that their houses are nice. They're building brand new homes for themselves and making sure they're nice. But there's one thing that they completely neglected. If you go back and read it, you'll see that the house of God was neglected. And because of that, this drought came. It was just nothing. The farmland was torn apart. The cattle, all the livestock were just dying. And all the fruits of their harvest were poor. And they said, you know what? We'll take what we have. And then it was all blown away. Because they neglected something so important that they didn't even look. They completely ignored it. Because they were in a spiritual drought. Now, when you look at this from the outside in, all we see is they disobeyed and caused a drought. Because that's what the Old Testament looks like. You disobey a commandment, you disobey this, you're punished in some way. But I want us to take a deeper look. What if we look at this as something more than a building? More than just a physical place. Let's look at the harvest. The harvest that they brought was poor. Now stay with me on this. They were only focused on their houses, but really what they were only focused on was something to their own personal benefit. They only wanted to look at something that was for themselves. And that leads us to this question as to why. If you only read this, why? And when you really look at it from the outside in, it looks like God's just punishing people because they won't take care of his stuff. But I'm here to tell you that the answer to that question is he isn't. It's not that you didn't take care of his stuff. And it's not that they just ignored the house. What it is they forgot what the purpose of God's house really was. What is the purpose of God's house? The purpose of it is to give rest. Rest for the weary. Hope for people who are hopeless. And when you don't have that house, when you don't have that place, the harvest is poor. There's no one waiting for him at the gate. There's no one waiting for him at the door to open it up and say, hey, how are you? Because there's nothing there. There's no door to open up. There's nothing. The house of God is supposed to be a place where they can find the true heart of God. Where they can truly see it for themselves. Where they can truly walk in and see people leading by example of what the heart of God really is. But if we don't work on that house, where can they find it? Those people, those souls, those future believers, they're the harvest that the rain is meant for. Let me take you to Jeremiah 17, chapter 17, verse 7. And I'm going to give you something here real quick. Verse 7 says this, "But blessed are those who trust in the Lord and have made the Lord their hope and confidence. They are like trees planted along the riverbank with roots that reach deep in the water. Such trees are not bothered by the heat or worried about long months of drought. Their leaves stay green and they never stop producing fruit." And the reason why I wanted to really bring up fruit is because recently we've been talking about the gifts of the Spirit. And they've been really good, and I could have continued it, but I don't want to get in the middle of what Pastor Mark has, because I think he's got something really, really special. And if you missed last Wednesday, I think you need to go back and look at it, because it really, really was special. And it wasn't just someone up on a podium talking. The entire place was talking about it. All of us were sharing stories, talking about moments that they've seen. The only person who didn't was me, because I was working in the back. Maybe I'll tell you my story here in a little bit. But I wanted to bring up fruits because I think fruits and gifts go hand in hand. And I'll tell you why here in a little bit. But we read this in Jeremiah 17:7. And I came up with this, or this popped in my head. If we want to be rooted, we have to be prepared for it. And I'll tell you why. Has anyone ever planted? I know a lot of y'all have gardens. Just about everyone in here probably has a garden somewhere. Maybe even a couple tomato plants just sitting out, drying up. So when you plant something, do you wait for the rain to plant it? You're right, you don't. A farmer never waits for the rain to start plowing his field. If he did that, he'd have nothing. Farmer doesn't wait to plow the field once it starts raining. He prepares for rain by plowing the field. If you're not prepared for it, there's no point in waiting on it. So in this drought that we're seeing today, if you're not prepared for the rain that's coming, you're going to miss out. Because just because there's a long drought doesn't mean we're not getting any rain. I look at it as we're fixing to get a lot of rain. I don't know what it's going to look like, but I think we're about to get a whole lot of it. But here's my point. What is the point of waiting if you're not prepared for it? What is the point? We can't stand outside saying, "Oh God, please bring us rain," and the whole time he's telling you, get ready, it's coming. You have plenty of seeds that's been sitting in a sack for a while. Go plant it. And I'll tell you, this is something I learned recently. Did y'all know that farmers can't replant the seeds that they grow from their fruits? Like corn. If you grow corn, you can't replant the seeds that you get, because they made it illegal for some reason. They put a patent on corn. So now farmers, they can't go and just replant the corn. They have to go out and buy it at ridiculous prices, which makes corn expensive, which makes gas expensive. You know, we can go down the whole list. That's how inflation works. It's not really this whole, it's a whole plot if you're into conspiracy theories. I guess no one in here is in conspiracy theories. That's all right. But I found this out. But I will tell you this, the seeds that we have to sow, you don't got to wait on nobody. You don't have to wait on nobody, and it's already been paid for. The seeds that are ready to be sown are in your hands. They're at your very grasp. And when those seeds produce fruit, you can take the seeds from the new fruit and continue planting. It's not out of your reach. It's right here. So what we really need to do is change our mindset. Not sitting, waiting for the rain in a drought, but working in the drought, getting ready for the harvest, preparing for rain. We need to be sitting in this drought. In this very moment, we're in this spiritual drought. I know I've said this maybe 5 times. Who knows how many times I've said it. And I know it's kind of getting out of there. But what I'm trying to say is, with what we're seeing in today's world, there is plenty of room for us to start planting. We need to start plowing. We need to start working the dirt and getting it ready to plant so that when the rain comes, and trust me, it's coming, we're going to see nothing but fruits ready for harvest. And let me give you another thing. As disciples, we all know this. We're meant to bear fruit. And there's this one verse, I can't remember where it's at. It's in the Gospels. There's this one verse, and it's the funniest thing I've ever read in the Bible. And I don't know if you're supposed to be laughing at verses in the Bible, but I do. I think there's lots of jokes in there. I think it's funny sometimes. But there's a verse in the Bible where Jesus walks up to a fig tree. And he's looking for a fig. And his disciples say, it's out of harvest, or it's out of season. And I think the funniest thing is Jesus cursed the tree. When you just look at it, of course there's no figs on it. It's out of season. But he cursed the tree still. And the next day they come back and they see that it's withered away. But when you really look at it, what's happening here is Jesus is waiting for the fruit that we're trying to bear. And the best thing for us is we can bear fruit in any season. And I think that's the one thing that always bugs me when we talk about season. Well, we're in a bad season right now. It's just not the right season for me. We'll have to wait till next season. I think what it is that we're trying to harvest the wrong fruit. Each fruit has a different season of being harvested. But for us, I think there's a different fruit for each season ready for us to pick up. That's what I really think. But what it is that he's ready for that harvest to be there, but because the tree wasn't producing, because there was no fruit to be produced, the tree was cursed. The tree was sitting there waiting for the right moment, when the right moment was when Jesus walked by. If you haven't read that verse, you need to go back and find it. I can't tell where it's at. You have to Google it. I'm sure somebody in here knows exactly where that verse is at. But it's a good one. I think you need to go look at it and read it and really study it. But here's what we really need to remember. As disciples, we're meant to bear fruit. And we all know what the fruit is. Especially if you went to children's church, you know the fruit. Love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, self-control. Did I miss any? Did I meekness? Well, I'm not meek or gentle, so. I need to go back and I need to write those down. But we all know what the fruit is. At least a handful of them. So we know what fruit is meant to be bared, and we know as disciples we're meant to bear it. But here is something that we need to remember. And this was something I heard from another preacher a while back. He's a really good preacher. Don't ask me his name. I can't remember. The fruit is not meant for us. And let me explain why. An apple tree does not eat an apple. A pear tree doesn't eat a pear. The vine does not drink from the grape. So why should we expect the same from us? The fruit is meant to be multiplied. Do you know how you get more apple trees? Exactly. Apples start blooming, and inside those apples are seeds. You plant the apple, you get another apple tree. Of course, you have to do it correctly. Dad was helping me pull my truck out a while back. And next to this barn that was out there, I'm pretty sure it was a pear tree. There's all these, it looked like a big bush because there's all these sticks coming out. And Dad said, that's a whole bunch of trees. I had no idea what he was talking about. He went up and he pulled up 2 or 3 of them so he could plant them. Because if you just let the fruit fall wherever it's at, it's just going to grow around you. So if you take the fruit that you're bearing and plant it around you, not next to you, but around in areas where it can grow in itself and then multiply. You know, what's a group of trees called? Is that an orchard? Yeah, you have an orchard. I really need to write this stuff down. I'm going to be Googling all night. Orchard. Messed up my notes. But if you plant the trees properly, if you plant the seeds properly, you'll have an orchard or a vineyard. If you plant it right next to yourself, you're just going to have a bush, and you'll bear no fruit. But the fruit is meant to be multiplied. You cannot create another fruit tree without a seed. And the seed is found in its fruit. That fruit is nourishment for that seed. So as that apple breaks down, or as the grape breaks down, whatever plant it is, whatever fruit it is, it will break down and it will be nourishment for that seed. So when you start, what's the word I'm looking for? Once you start bearing fruit, then it can be planted, it can grow into that orchard. That is really what the fruit is meant for. If you eat it, you can't plant it. If you're keeping the fruit for yourself, it can't be multiplied. So we have to remember that. When we are bearing this fruit, it's not for us, it's for others. We've all watched The Chosen, right? It's a great TV show, right? Well, I hate it. It's because you read your Bible. I don't like it because I'm sitting here reading this. I'm like, none of this stuff ever happened. And one of the coolest moments in the entire show is when they get to Samaria, Jesus has James and John plowing a field and planting for a Samaritan. And it's a great idea, and I kind of wish it was true because it's really good. But the whole time, they could not figure out at all why Jesus asked them to do it. It wasn't just for strangers to walk by. They were creating a harvest for someone else to start picking, and so they can go ahead and plant it. That's how the multiplying happens. That's how discipleship happens. Discipleship doesn't just happen because you tell people what the fruit is. You have to plant it. And you have to show them how to care for it and how to grow it and how it can be multiplied. We all learned this a couple Sundays back. God's math works in multiplication. It really does. How many seeds are in an apple? Like 5 or 6 of them? Is there more than that? Are you counting the seeds when you eat an apple? Oh, you do like The Chosen? Oh. So that's why Jody's over here and Karen's over there. He played Peter pretty good. I think he got him spot on. No, it's a good show. It does. It does. Here's what you do. I'll give you all some homework. Go watch The Chosen and go find everything that's wrong with it. And let Jody know. Find everything that's right with it. I think that's a better mindset. That's good. If you're looking for a positive mindset, hang out with Jody. And if you're wondering where you can find Jody, every Sunday they do a Bible study. And I hear they get in some heated fellowships from what I remember. I haven't gone to any because I'm too scared. Working on the fruit. Good. But just like we read in Jeremiah, blessed are those that put their trust in the Lord, for he has the living water. That's why you need the Old Testament and the New Testament. Jeremiah says, blessed are those that put their faith in the Lord. Jesus says, I'm the living water. So let me tell you how this works. If he's the living water and you put all of your faith in him, what did Jesus say? You drink of it and you will never thirst. So if you take that living water, you will never experience drought. You'll never see that lack, and you will continue to produce fruit. Just like what they said in Jeremiah. It'll be like you're sitting right next to the river, rooted deeply where that water is, never running out. So if you're in that moment of drought, remember this. When you put your faith and trust in the Lord and realize that He has the living water. He will never run out. So, let me ask you, where are you seeing this drought? Where are you seeing this lack? Where are you seeing these tough moments? I'll tell you of one. Here's what I was going to say last Wednesday, but I didn't. Because we were talking about hearing the Lord. I went through a pretty good drought a few years back. Really, really big drought. And it's hard when a believer goes through a drought because it feels like it shouldn't happen. It feels like it should never happen. It's about the time I graduated high school. I was hanging out, I would probably say the wrong crowd. I don't know if it was like Pastor Mark and Ben. It would. We didn't get in any fights. We just said we were going to. But I've been coming here for as long as I can remember. So I'm just going to call it 23 years I've been coming to this church. And I went through a pretty good drought by the time I graduated. As soon as I turned 18, Mom and Dad went on vacation. I moved out. Maybe about, he talked about me, didn't he? No. Glad I missed that one. I moved out. I wasn't maybe 15 minutes away from home. Wasn't about 15 minutes away from here. I was in Norman. But you can ask just about anybody in here. I wasn't here. I didn't come Sundays. I didn't come Wednesdays. I didn't come and play and sing. I didn't come here and pray. I didn't do anything. I went through a really big drought. I have no idea what it was. I have no idea what it could have been. I shouldn't have been able to go through a drought, at least what my mindset would be. How does a preacher's kid go through a drought? But I went through one. It was maybe 2.5 years I didn't come back to church. Felt longer than that. I missed some of the biggest steps this church made. Some really big steps. I came back and I'm wondering who all these people are. First time I met Ben was at a men's breakfast. He comes to Dad saying, "Oh, I got you a birthday present." And it's this big old box. I think it was a rifle or something. The only thing I could think of is, man, I hope he knows my birthday. I bet if I asked Ben for a birthday present, the first thing he's going to say, well, let's know each other for 30 years first, and then we'll see how it goes. Oh, I'm going to count on it. Oh, it won't take him 30 years this time. I came back, and I'm wondering who this blonde lady is singing on stage. I went to school with her son. I had no idea who she was. I came back to a lot of stuff. But what really brought me back, I'll tell you exactly what brought me back. It was probably the most clearest point I've ever heard the Lord's voice. And it kind of scared me. Because it had been a while. I'm telling you, 2.5 years. I went home. I don't even know why I went home. I can't even remember. No, Mom said I had a birthday card that I didn't pick up. And as y'all know, birthday cards have money in it. Pretty sure it was a $10 check. No, it had cash in it, so I was lucky with this one. I came back and I had it was a $20 in there, I think. And right before this had happened, I'm in my third apartment. Not doing too good with bills. There was this savings book I bought off of TikTok, and I was doing really good with it. Until maybe about the third month, it went missing. Still have no idea where it's at. It had a bunch of money in there. So I came back, and I was like, okay, I'm going to put that $20 right back in that book. And Mom and Dad asked me if I was going to church, and I said, no, I got to do laundry. Which I was lying. I didn't do my laundry. I was a 20-year-old and living in my own apartment. I didn't do laundry. But I'm going home. I can't go to church tonight. And I'm in my pickup and I'm driving, and I hit that four-way light. And all I can hear was turn left. And I kept going, kept going. I had another chance to just go to Norman. There's that four-way stop sign. But I just kept going straight. And the night that I came was the first night I ever met Dr. Caldwell. And all I could think of is, who is this lunatic? He's talking about all this stuff, and he talks fast. You think people in Louisiana talk fast. Dr. Caldwell talks fast. You would have thought he was selling you a car. But there was something he talked about that verse about when God told Abraham, I'll bless those who bless you and curse those who curse you. And there was a whole bunch that went on with it. If you haven't watched any of Dr. Caldwell's lessons, you need to. And I haven't told anybody this part, but I still had that $20 in my pocket. And I decided to put it in the plate instead. But not only did I just put $20 in the plate, I put an envelope, didn't put my name on it. I had specific instructions for it, so it went somewhere specific. But that night, I reinvested in that commitment that I made years ago. So I've been saved for quite a few years. I got saved. I was probably this tall when I got baptized. But I reinvested in this commitment that I made years ago. And it's not just coming to Sunday mornings or Wednesday evenings. That wasn't the investment, but the investment was in the church. So after Wednesday night, I went home, said goodbye to crazy Dr. Caldwell. And then within that week, you wouldn't believe the stuff that I seen. I started coming back to church. Things were starting to look up. And then I got a raise at work immediately. I was like, wow, I could really use this. And then a couple days later, I met my girlfriend. And boy, have I changed a lot of my thinking because of her. And then I eventually became a supervisor. I was in charge of people. Thought it was great. But most importantly, I came back here, and I found a voice. Some of y'all remember I'd get up here on Wednesday nights, and I would ramble on about the most random things in the world. But then I came back, and Pastor Mark asked me if I wanted to cover a Sunday message. And I came up here hollering. I don't even know where that came from. Every location pastor was wondering who that was. And I get a call from our senior pastor, Ben. And he gave me an idea of what I could start doing in the church. Because one thing that I struggled with was where I was supposed to be serving. I tried singing in the group. I guess God wanted Jill instead. I don't know what that was all about. I was like, well, I can greet people, but I was like, I think we got enough greeters. Kidding, we don't got enough greeters. Everyone should be a greeter. Not greeters. First impression, we don't call them greeters. Greeters are at Walmart. Well, they're not greeters anymore, are they? They're just receipt checkers. I was looking all over the place for something for me to do so I don't go through that drought again. Because I truly believe if you don't find something for you to do, you're just going to be sitting in a pew wondering what you're supposed to be doing. So Pastor Ben gave me an idea. He said, I think you're supposed to fill in these places that the pastor can't reach. I was like, okay, let me think about that. So I started taking over some stuff that I thought that we needed improvements on. Started talking with people, meeting with people, trying to make ideas really become true. And ever since then, I can't even think of a better time in my life because I've reinvested in it. Because that one moment, that voice said, turn left. Because I had forgotten what that voice sounded like. And I haven't forgotten since. I don't think I'm ever going to forget it. It got to the point I've made crazy decisions in my life. I just told you all a minute ago I was a supervisor. I was making good money. About 2 months ago, I quit that job. But I'm surviving. I'm looking for something else, and I'm just about there. But I realized I didn't need that. The day that I decided I was going to quit was the message where we were talking about overcoming anxiety, because that's all that place was. I'm convinced it was an anxiety factory. And a lot of our jobs today, I think, are just anxiety factories. They call it burnout. I call it drought. At least that's what I'm going to start calling it. I had forgotten who I was and where I was. It was one country song that made me realize it in the end. So I told my boss right after the last supervisor quit, I said, hey, I'm leaving too. And she hasn't talked to me since. But that was me. That was me just, it was a little over a year ago now. And I've been coming back ever since. I don't think I've missed a single service, except for the couple times I was out in Texas or North Carolina. And I've seen this church grow into something I haven't seen in years. And I don't think that's because of me. I'm just one gear in the whole machine. But I'm seeing benevolence ministry that's grown, that is really helping people, that's reaching out to people. I'm seeing a prayer team. We've never had a prayer team. The first message I ever preached, Jody grabbed me by the arm and said, we're praying for you. And I don't know if you know this or not, but when Jody says she's doing something, you better listen. She didn't threaten me, but I could see it. Seeing a worship team that's growing. We have 2 worship teams now. We've never had that before. We have a growing youth team that's not just adults, but young adults. We have a men's team that's not just keeping it to themselves. For some reason, Paul's letting the ladies go fishing with us. Oh. But we're growing. And you know why we're growing? Because I believe that this church, Awaken Church Blanchard, is rooted next to the river. That ever-flowing river that's never going dry. The rivers here might run dry, but the river that we're attached to ain't never running dry. And because of that, we're going to continue to grow and continue to produce fruit. And I cannot wait to see what fruit we produce next. And I cannot wait to see it. Blessed are those that put their trust in the Lord, for he has the living water. Remember it. Don't forget it. And when you go through that drought, grab somebody that's going to remind you. Grab someone that's going to remind you of what to do in a drought. Grab someone that's going to tell you exactly where the water is. Someone that's going to tell you when you should be plowing the fields and getting ready for the harvest. Someone that's going to remind you. Because I don't know if you know this or not, but us by ourselves thinking, trying to remind ourselves, never works. It never works. And people have figured this out. If you're struggling with addiction, the best thing you can do is find a group. If you're struggling in life and you need prayer, I find that prayer groups really help. If you're having trouble studying the Bible, even picking out a Bible, I find a devotional group really helps. If you're looking for a place to eat, a seat at the table, I find those groups help. I don't think I've seen a single person figure it out on their own. Maybe I will. I'm only 23, but I doubt it. I ain't going to be waiting on it. No one ever does it alone. So when you see that, when you feel that, when you experience it, come grab one of us. Come find this place, and we will put you with that group. The very first person you reach out to, they have a group. They have a group of people, and every single one of them is filled with the living water. They ain't going to let you forget it. They ain't going to let you go. So remember it and be there for it. Father, I praise you, and I thank you for giving us this wonderful moment here at Awaken Church Blanchard. I pray that you will be with each and every one of us as we go through this drought, and that we remember that just because the drought is here doesn't mean that there isn't going to be a harvest. I pray that you will remind us to be prepared and be ready for the rain that's coming. And I pray that you will be with each and every one of us that is going through it to really see it and to grab somebody, to open up their arms and to grab somebody so that they can be reminded of just who you are. Because as we all know in here, you bring the rain. Only you bring it. And I pray this in Jesus' name. Amen. All righty. Be ready for Sunday. Invite somebody. Grab somebody. And if you see somebody new on Sunday, talk their ear off.